Hi everybody, Gisele Grenier here from artplace.ca. So for today's demonstration, I'm continuing on with my experimentation with crackle products, and today it's the Deco Art texture crackle, but this is the paintable texture. This demonstration I think might be a little bit long because there's many drying layers involved. I'm working on a disassembled Strathmore Visual Journal, and the journal is ready to go. If you're working on something very, very thin, please apply 1 to 2 layers of acrylic gesso, letting each layer dry, and we're using just a foam brush, nothing fancy. Okay. With the texture crackle products, you need to apply a layer of sealer, and that I'm just going to do with that same foam brush. It just ensures that it sticks because it's like. And I'm not dumbing down the product, but it has the consistency of drywall mud, thick drywall mud, or plaster of Paris. It's very, very thick. Now the beauty of this one is that you can actually paint it. So I'm really going to try some interesting things with this. And I know with the backgrounds, I keep saying, you know, we're not going to combine techniques because I just want to focus on the backgrounds. With this one, I will do a little bit something different. I will combine a little bit of a technique with glazing. We have covered glazing in a previous video, so I'm going to do a little bit of glazing over certain sections of this. You'll be able to very easily see, and that actually, technically, I should be doing this stuff here as the embellishment section of the next part of the video series, which is working in the actual journal, techniques on how you can decorate it and stuff like that. Okay, I just used the Traditions multi-surface sealer. It's an all-purpose sealer, absolutely love it, so I'm going to work with that. You let these dry. Now I'm going to move this aside while it dries and just talk to you a bit about what I'm going to be doing. So the first thing because this is a paintable texture, you're going to paint it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to apply this over the entire page. Okay, there's no special technique needed there. On one of the pages, when that's dry, then I'm going to reapply this on top of a stencil. So it's going to be the texture, then a raised stencil, which is going to be this one here. On one page, I'm going to basically, and then I also want to try on the one page to see if I want to tint this with Peacock Pearl Metallic on one side, then I'll leave the other side just white, and then I'm going to, as it crackles, then I'm going to antique it with Worn Penny. Very, very shiny. So I'm doing 2 experiments on that page. On this side, I'm going to age it and paint it with Traditions Transparent Yellow Iron Oxide, Quinacridone Gold, and Quinacridone Burnt Orange to actually age the cracks. So there's quite a bit going on with that one. It doesn't matter what brushes you use because we're just going to be painting. Just do not use very expensive brushes because you're working on a textured product. You don't want to wear down the bristles in your brushes. Okay, so I'm just going to put this over here, this over here. These haven't dried yet. These have to be completely dried, and you can use a heat gun to speed up the drying time. I have the air conditioner going because it's really hot, so Mia has been totally desensitized to the air conditioner and the heat gun, which is really good. So I'm just basically going to be, I'm tilting it so I can see the shine. And just drying it. I very roughly applied the multi-surface sealer, which is fine, doesn't really matter. Okay, so we're going to let that finish to dry, and then when we come back, I'll apply this. We're back. This is all dried now. So this is going to be a little bit interesting. I'm first going to start off with the page that I'm going to completely cover with the texture crackle. Okay, I'm not going to do any color mixing in that. So it's just looks like just a regular texture product, and product information says the thicker the layer, the bigger the cracks, the thinner the layer, the thinner the cracks. Well, let's play with that. So some of the areas I'm going to do thin, and then some areas I'm going to do thick. I'm also going to scrape some areas quite thin so some of the paper still shows through, because as we paint over it and put a wash of color, let's see what happens. I love experimenting with stuff like this. I can't wait to do the background using texture free arrow. That's actually more of an accent piece, but I want to do something with that. Okay, really thick here. What I'm going for with this part here, I don't know if it'll work. Usually when I experiment, I take quite a bit of time to work stuff out, but it would be really cool if you could simulate the look of a really cracked, aged leather journal. That would be totally awesome. You really would have to smooth this out, so I'm going to show you how to smooth out some of the corners. I'm just putting a lot of paint. Medium that brush or the palette knife straight in water, and then cover this right away. And I got this on my arm. Okay, so I'm just going to get one of the texture tools, and basically what you can do is just really play with this and smooth out the corners, so it's really nice and smooth. And you can play with this for as long as you want. I'm just getting rid of that there. Okay, let's do some here. And what you're looking for, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And you're just fanning that out. Take your time. I'm limited on the amount of time I can spend on this because I'm doing so many of the videos for the book of backgrounds. Trying to give the videos under an hour so it's not information overload. Okay, I can smooth this out just a little bit more. And as I'm smoothing it, I'm pulling the product towards the center, which is also thinning it out. Okay, so let's see what we can get with that. Now, the other thing that you can probably do is take a wet brush and just glisten. Make sure the brush is wet and just glisten over, and that'll smooth areas out as well to get really, really smooth. Oh, this brings me back to the days of when doing the taping, when doing drywall. Ugh, I hated doing that. And I shouldn't complain because we're going to end up doing it again in a month when we do the basement. Okay, so, all right, so I'm going to put this aside. This is going to take a long time to dry. Put that aside. Okay, now this one here, let me just clean this up a little bit. And the reason why I'm cleaning it up is not so much because I don't want it to get on the page itself, is I don't want to get it on the back of the page and I put that page on my desk to dry, or that drying rack is full now and I don't want to get this stuff on my desk. Now for this one here, we're going to go over here and I'm going to color mix a little bit. So we'll see what happens. I don't know how it'll turn out, but let's try. Okay. And of course I go. Didn't take the plastic cap off here. What I'm not sure about is, does adding paint to the wet medium weaken the crackling feature of it? I think it will, but let's see what happens. I think it will, but let's see what happens. I'm going to put the entire thing on here. The whole kit and caboodle. Where did that come from, kit and caboodle? And exactly what does that mean? I know it means the whole thing, but like, why not just say whole thing? Inquiring minds want to know. Let's just go here. I could have easily gotten the answer to my experiment question just by contacting DecoArt. Their product support is really, really good. But I like experimenting much better. When it comes to actual, like if I had a client, for my commercial work, if a client said, oh, the technique that you showed in your video, well, it would never happen, but let's just say, he goes, I want that done on a pet portrait as a background. I would say, well, then I would contact DecoArt to find out what the long-term effects would be from doing this. Like, would eventually the cracks wear down, or what would happen? So that is a different. But when just for like stuff like this, like the book of backgrounds and personal art and personal journaling and just experimenting, no, that I do. I love to experiment. So this one here, I'm going to put the little birdie here now. Oh, I didn't do that in the right order. Okay, let's try this again. I have to put all this down first. I have to put all this down first. I did not do that in the right order. Silly, 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 silly me. This one I'm going to layer with a lot of texture. I'd like to see how big these cracks will get. Very thick there. Let's see how far we can push this stuff. And I'm tilting it because I've got a glare, so I just want to be able to see what I'm doing. The other thing I would like to know is, can you sand this? You probably can. Now let's see what happens when I do this. It's wet. The other one I'm going to do dry. This one I'm going to do wet. How much of this is going to lift off the surface being wet? I'm really loading it up. I went a little bit too far this way. I should have went in, but let's see what happens. What I'm thinking is that the stencil is actually going to lift up a lot of the texture and create like a spackling, like a, well, here is like a popcorn look. It's stuck. Here we go. Ooh. Okay, all of this. Okay, let me just do this. Now this dries. Where? I have no idea. But this here now, this goes back in the container. So I'm just going to scoop it back very carefully so I don't damage the stencil. I have a habit of doing that because I work so fast sometimes to save time, which is not really a good thing to do all the time. Oh, look at that. How flippin' awesome is that? Oh, how can I do this with color? Oh, I'm getting sidetracked, people. Okay, remember this technique. I'm gonna gonna what? How am I gonna do that? Okay. Remind me to try this on the paper. That is so cool. Okay, anyways, see, my right brain, it just, yeah, my left brain took a nap, and now my right brain's going, yay! So I'm gonna clean up all my tools now. I'm gonna let that dry. This is gonna be amazing. I hope it works. Gonna clean everything up, and then when we come back, basically I'm letting the other pieces totally dry. When we come back, then we'll go on to do the original thing I was gonna do, and then this new experiment that I'm gonna try. So I'll see you in a bit. So we waited a day, and now this is all dry. This is so cool. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Let me just get a really, really nice close-up. Look at that. Isn't that neat? And what I didn't think would work, did work. Where I took the, where I mixed this right in. The texture crackle, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, so that did work too. So you can mix the metallics in, but the metallic finish is not there anymore. It's more of a matte finish. Isn't that beautiful? And this one here, it's sporadic. That is just gorgeous. I can picture this if you did a painting of, if you did this and you did a painting, like a portrait painting, that could make it look really, really old. So what I want to do now is I want to add further color to this. So what I want to do is we did this one here. I want to do this one here now to show you about what it looks like when you add color on top. So I'm going to put this aside, and let me think for a second. Bear with me for a second. Yeah, let's try it. Yeah, let's try it this way. Okay. I was trying to think of doing it a different way, but I thought, no, that's just this way. So we got the, let's see, the Peacock Pearl, the Dazzling Metallics, and then Warm Penny, and Quinacridone Burnt Orange. Oh, let's bring out Transparent Yellow Iron Oxide. I might as well get all the paints out here. Only have to hear that disgusting noise once. Okay, don't need a lot. So, with my favorite brush, now I apologize for the glare, nothing I can do about that. Now I turned the stencil basically upside down. And what I've got here is that from the center is facing this way, and then I can have it facing this way. It's up to you how you want it done, but I'm just going to show a demonstration. So what I want to do, I'm going to take this, the Peacock Pearl, and then I'm just going to see what happens if you stencil a metallic over the paintable texture crackle. We know that the texture crackle, when mixed with the metallic paint, you lose the finish. So let's see what happens when you do it this way. So I'm going to do the birdie this way. Then I'm going to go right into Warm Penny, right with the same brush, and do the tree. Now these stencils are so worn out, I really should fasten them down with some masking tape. And you can basically stencil it any way you want. This is just my favorite way of doing it. I like my stencils to be more rough than anything else. Okay, so there we go. So nice and shiny. So let's wait and see what happens with that, though, in case the finish changes. So let me just quickly wipe this down. Quickly. Okay. And then, let's try some dry brushing. So I'm going to go into quinacridone burnt orange. Now, quinacridone burnt orange is a transparent pigment, so it will show a really nice glaze on there. So let's pound that out. I'm just going to rinse my brush a little bit more. There we go. I was seeing some of the colors mixing in here, and that's not what I wanted. You can pat off on a paper towel or onto your craft mat. And I'll just start dry brushing right around here. And I'm just doing little circles. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, yay. Little circles will give you sort of like a more even look. If you don't want lines. Let me get a really good close-up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this and not get in the way. Let's see if I can do it sideways. No, see what happens when you do it sideways? Yeah, so you got to do it. Hang on, let me see if I can get rid of that. That's got some dirt now on there from the dirty baby wipe. There we are. I'll let that dry for a sec. Let's move on over here. And I know I'm in the way, sorry. If I go right over the wet paint, it seems to really be a little bit more intense. So by dry brushing, you're doing a, trying to get out of the way. You get a really, really nice, soft, distressed look. And then areas like this, you can really just focus a little bit more on the cracked edges. This one's really raised high, see that? So you can really play that up. Just don't use your good brushes on this because you'll just ruin them. Let me just zoom back out so you can see the whole thing. I think I'm getting in the way too much. The other thing you can do with your baby wipe is if you go right into the paint, okay, and then you can rub. There's one problem with this though. This is like a, think of this as paper, that it will eventually break down and you'll be stuck with fibers. So although it is a great alternative, in the long run I think it's going to cost you a little bit more, because you'll end up going through many baby wipes, but the effect is really pretty. Okay, so you can get a really rough look, you can get a nice smooth look. You can even come back over here and do another layer. See, here it's just pulling up all the fibers. This is really, really thick. Okay. Let's just kind of, okay, now let's try this. Wet paint. Now the wet paint though, what it's going to give you is going to cover everything. It's going to cover everything. There's so many things that you can do with this product. I love this really distressed look over the whole thing. This should be dry now. Nope, not quite. Let's work that way down, slightly into the birdie, being very careful. Let it dry though first. Let it dry first. You're not quite dry. Let's emphasize the corners a little bit more. This is where you really can get creative and create some really interesting pieces. it'll never be the same. It'll always be a different look. You can do this piece so many times. Because you've got the randomness of the crackles, and just by even just dry brushing, especially here, but don't use good brushes. Like, these are good brushes. Don't use expensive, like don't use a $40 brush to do this. Here we go. How cool is that? How randomly cool is that? And then you can, you know, further, if you want to, and I don't want to, you know, I can go onto the birdie and just kind of clean off a little bit of, I don't want to rub anything. I absolutely love this. I don't want to ruin anything. If you want to come in and wipe a little bit off, come in with a baby wipe and just kind of, you can wipe off a little bit. You know, something like that. I want that back. I like what I have there. I don't want it. It's gone. I want it back. There we go. This, though, you can hit with a heat gun. And I'm just going to do this part here over the trees, the tree area. Mind you, I think it's kind of cool the way it is. There's still fibers from the the paint, from the baby wipe. Now I can come in and go over everything. And then the quinacridone burnt orange over the blue just really knocks it down, because blue and orange are opposite on the color wheel. Oh, I like that. See, I like that crack. But you can come in and then you can wipe it back if you want. I don't. I want it back. I like the... I really, really like the randomness of this. There we go. I love those cracks. So there's one. So I'm going to put that aside. This is not what I was intending on doing. This turned out better than I expected. This one here, I already know what I want to do with this as a journal page, which is not really fair to you guys because I'm supposed to be demonstrating this, and I'm thinking of putting the theme of this journal page more as something about being invisible, and where there is a bird there, but it's kind of like invisible. But I can always do the page again. Sometimes pages I just love them so much I don't want to take away from it. So I will go in now, transparent yellow iron oxide. Let's see what we can do with this. So similar to what I did with the other page, this time I'm going to wet the paper first, which will not ruin it. And I can come in and I can just put the paint right in there. And what happens is that it just sucks everything right into the background. This works really good with transparent paints. See this type of thing? Leave that. Not telling you what to do, sorry. I'm going to leave it because I like that look. I love that look. Oh, and look at that. I love this. Love this. Love this. Now I'm going to wipe that down. Now I'm going to go to the other pigment here. This is quinacridone gold. A little bit of water in that. I'm just trying to get the right feel for it. And the quinacridone gold over, transparent red iron oxide would have been better on this. The quinacridone gold knocks down the blue. We're going to wipe it back. And this is really nice for aging something. You don't want the paint to be so wet that it's just too transparent, but you don't want it to be too thick that it just kind of sits on top. What I'm trying to do is get the right consistency so it gets inside the cracks. Really push that inside the cracks. and then we're going to wipe it back. That's, where's the hole? There we go. I can avoid the birdie, okay, or paint right over them. If I paint right over, I'm going to make sure I get a good amount of paint right on the birdie to go inside the cracks. This will definitely ruin a brush, so be careful how much that you use on there. Okay. Is there anything on the back of this page? No. This is where I need my Clorox wipes. Now we're just going to start wiping some of this stuff back. These baby wipes, they're good, but they're not strong enough for this. I need my Huggies wipes back. And you can wipe down like a lot of it, but I kind of like the look of it. I love this stuff here. Choose what you want to wipe back. And you can pick a spot. Just remember that over crackling, just be a little bit more careful so you don't accidentally pull it up. See where there was nothing, you can wipe it back right down back to the paint. Okay. Not a fan of that though. Not a fan. See if I can have anything left in the paper towel. Not really. Not really. I can use this opportunity to put a border on when the time comes. Get the cracks right into that little birdie. Get that paint right in there. Beautiful. Look at that. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Where's my transparent red iron oxide? You know what? Yeah, I'm just going to get that out of the color. Hang on. And this will happen with you. Like some of you may think I'm kind of spazzing, kind of changing and going all over the place. This will happen with you because the page is telling me what to do. Not in a crazy way, but just, I don't know if I said that was really appropriate for me to say it that way, but I mean is, I'm seeing ideas taking place and forming. This is transparent red iron oxide. It is, I think it's the same pigment. No, it's not. So quinacridone gold is PO48, which is pigment orange, and the transparent red iron oxide is PR101, which is pigment red. This is one of my favorite pigments. Think of it as a transparent burnt sienna. I just want to age this. I'm using a dirty baby wipe. There we go. Oh, this is beautiful. See how it kind of turns green a little bit? Get a bit more water. I'm putting this here for a long time because I really want it to soak in. And this though, this is going to ruin the brush. I should be very, very careful what I'm doing here. And I'm so stupid. I have these craft and glue brushes they come in a 6-pack and they're very inexpensive. I should just use that. These get right into the cracks. Look at that. Then I can come back. I still want to keep with this theme being about invisibility. So that's why I'm making sure this stays all the same color. I love that. fingerprint there. Think anybody would notice what that is? Here. Let's put a fingerprint here. Some of you, not saying you have to do this. I'm kind of jumping ahead to what I'm going to be doing with this page. So now you'll have to watch part 2, or the second part of the series. There we go. Look at that. Oh, I just love doing this stuff. And I can get so easily carried away with this, and it just, you can just really do what you want with it. Now I'm going to just do the edges now. Just gonna work that like this. I'm not really working with any type of pattern. It's a little bit heavy. It's easy enough to be fixed. Just blot, blot, blot. Don't wipe, blot. If you wipe, you'll actually change the direction. You'll actually change the actual shape of the stroke. So if you did this, then then you get streaks. Streaks we do not want. And if you're doing this at home, as you do this, you get something you like, heat set it. You take your heat gun to it, or a hair dryer to it. Just going to emphasize this a little bit more. And I know that I'm going to assume that I'm going to be cutting this off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did outside here. I'm going to do the same thing right here, but over the this part right here, the punch, and just a bit on the outside in case I do want to keep it inside the book. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to actually reassemble the journal for actually creating the pages. I don't know yet. This is something the journal, for the purpose of doing these background videos, is much more convenient because I can do many at a time while they're drying. I don't want to lose my fingerprint. Actually, let me cover up that fingerprint and I'll just do it again. Just want to get that corner piece set. Oh, I don't even know if I'm on camera. I'm sorry. There we go. So all I did was basically redid the edges, okay, and then redid the edges, then came in and then did it again because I was losing my fingerprint. Again, you don't have to do that. Can you actually see? No, the cracks are interfering with the lines. But I'm just telling you, you don't have to do it, and I don't know if technology is there that you will be able to pull the fingerprint out of all these cracks. I don't know. But let me just show you, with identity theft and all that stuff. It's up to you if you want to do it. So there you go. You really can't tell, can you? But while we're here, let's take a look at all the... How beautiful is this? Look at that. How random is that? That's the beauty of this, is how random it is. There is no rhyme or reason. There's no pattern. It's totally random, which makes it so interesting. You look around and you look at all these little cracks and crevices and you think, oh, what has this page been through? Where has this page been? Does this page have a story to tell? Look at that. What is that? What is this? It's paper. Let's get rid of that. It's microscopic. It's just, you can see because it's such a close-up. You know what? And it's not disappearing. There's something under there. There we go. Now, so you see that, right? And the kind of, ooh, that's really dark. Let's take a zoom out and let's see. Is it something we might want to leave? No, no. I would rather just trim the paper off, but let's see if we can make that work. Let's see if we can make that work. Oh, there it is there. Okay. There we go. That's not too bad. You can't totally see it. There we go. And just by laying it on, you just even further emphasize the cracks. That's cool, eh? So there you go. So you got a little bit more than I was expecting to show you in this. So I've got the page already planned out how I'm going to do it. Again, not totally fair to you guys. I'm supposed to explain the process of creating a journal page. Sorry, not explain the process, explain my process. Mia just let me know that the mail lady dropped off some stuff. There we go. Look at the paper in the background. That's going to make for an amazing cover for my Strathmore Visual Journal covers. Look at that. Now take a look at this. Can you visualize what you could do with the page? Could you visualize something happening? Could you see a theme? I'm looking at this and I probably would have, thinking now, a different choice for this. This is a little bit too red for me. And I really would have liked to have toned it down to something a little bit more to this. But in saying that, as a whole, I can see being invisible to being colorful and bright, or being noticed, being invisible to being noticed, or something. I don't know. But anyway, so this is all done. So you just basically let this dry. Now, preferably if you could let it dry naturally for a day before doing anything with it, because the texture crackle does absorb a lot of liquid. Like, even though everything was dry, I can actually feel moisture. It feels very cold, and when something feels cold when you're painting, it's because it's wet. Okay, even though the top may feel dry, think of the temperature, very, very cold. This feels neutral. This is neutral, and this feels cool because it's much thicker. This is very cool. Okay, so if possible, let it dry for about a day before you start gluing stuff on there, just to make sure that everything sticks properly. You can seal this as well with a varnisher sealer if you want. That's fine. You can just treat it as if it's any regular surface now and just work with it. And it's totally flexible. Like, there's no cracking whatsoever. Totally flexible. That's why I love using these products. They're made for art. If you would have done this with plaster, you would have gotten cracking. So, alrighty, so there we go. So I hope that you give this a shot, and we'll have to wait until part 2 of the series to see how I start decorating all these pages based on some themes that I have set up. So join me for the next background video. We have a whole slew of them. I think there's probably about 20 spreads that I'm doing, a minimum of 20 spreads. I won't be able to cover every single technique because I've already filled up, allocated the ideas for all the background pages, and I've already had to go to that chipboard album that I have that I didn't know what to do with, and I've already cut paper for that, so I've got so many backgrounds to show you. And then once we've gotten the basic backgrounds, this is a bit more than I want to show you. Once we've got the basic backgrounds, then we're going to do stuff on the backgrounds we already created, just to further build upon those pages. And by the end of the series of part 2, we will have a journal full of ideas and techniques and, you know, different things all put together, combining techniques. So it'll be quite the adventure, and I hope that you join me. All right, so until next time, stay inspired.